Wondering if biohacking can really help your skin? You are going to want to stick around. I'm Dr. Mina, host of the Skin Real podcast, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is where I bring you real information on how to take care of your skin by focusing not just on your skincare, but on your whole body care. On today's video, I'm going to be breaking down some of the key takeaways from my recent interview with Dr. Jen Haley. She is not only a board-certified dermatologist, but she also has an extensive background in nutrition as well as fitness health. And she blends these three beautifully to optimize not just your skin health, but your overall health in general. So let's get into it. So let's break it down. Dermatology, people ask me all the time, why did I go into it? And I went into dermatology because it's a very visual field. I love that I can just look at someone, I can look at their skin, I can look at their hair, their nails, and I have a clue as to what is going on internally. And sometimes the dermatologist is the first person to notice that someone may have insulin resistance or diabetes, or maybe that they have a bone condition, or maybe they have something going on with the blood vessels around their heart. So it is such a cool thing to be able to have this insight just by looking at the skin itself. I love dermatology for that unique ability. Our skin is a reflection of our health internally. And so if we are taking care of our bodies on the inside, and that means watching what we eat, how we move our bodies, how we take care of our mind, that is going to be reflected in our skin. And if we're doing a good job, we're going to have glowing skin, healthy skin, skin that's free from inflammation and rashes. And if we're not taking care of our bodies, that also can be reflected in our skin. That's maybe just not radiant. Maybe our skin barrier is dry and damaged and we're prone to infections. And so I like to say that skincare really starts from within. I think too often we're focused on what cream do I need to put on? What active should I be using? Or what procedure, what laser, what device? So we're very focused on these outward things that we should do to our skin or put on our skin. And we don't spend enough time, in my opinion, talking about what actually is going on internally in our bodies. Now, I do think there is this whole movement out there for more preventative and proactive healthcare and medicine, and people are responding to it and they're interested in it. I'm simply interested in it because I'm in my mid-40s and I want to live as healthy as I can for as long as I can. And I realize I really need to make important, impactful changes now so that I am at my optimal health in my 50s and 60s and 70s, etc. So biohacking, right? That's the term everyone's using. It seems to be a buzzword. And you can also biohack with your skin. And the best way to do that is to take care of your body. So Dr. Haley talks about eating whole foods, eating foods that are brightly colored, eating foods with as few ingredients as possible. And so when you go to the grocery store, think about, where do you spend your time? Are you going in those internal aisles where things are packaged in plastic and boxes, or are you sticking to the perimeter of the grocery store? In general, you want to stick to the perimeter of the grocery store. And she also mentions going with protein first. And we're hearing a lot about that now. In fact, so much so that I totally changed my lifestyle and went from being a pescatarian for 27 years to now eating animal-based protein. I just found that I was eating fake protein or plant-based protein trying to simulate meat when I felt like it was just healthier to just eat meat that was either pasture-raised, humanely raised. And so that's what I've personally started doing in 2024. She mentions aiming for 8 grams of protein per ideal body weight. So that is hard to do. It is a lot of protein. So don't get discouraged if you can't reach that amount right off the bat. I know that is something I'm still working on and trying to maximize. I'm not quite there yet, but other people say try to aim for about 25 grams of protein per meal. And that might be a little more realistic number to hit, especially when you're starting out. But if you start your meal with protein instead of filling up with carbohydrates and sort of empty calories, processed foods, you are going to get satiated sooner and you are going to consume fewer calories. And that's going to ultimately help your waistline, your blood sugars, and everything. So start with protein and then follow that with healthy fats and, of course, colorful vegetables. And fruits can be helpful as well, especially things like berries. They have lots of fiber. And so I used to not be a big fruit eater, but now I'm actually really enjoying things like strawberries that are in season right now for me when I'm taping this, and blackberries and blueberries, things like that. Next to nutrition, we have to think about moving our bodies. We are in such a sedentary world nowadays where we can just do so much from our phones, sitting on our couch. We don't even have to get up and interact with people. Things are drive-through or delivered to us. And so we're just not moving our bodies. Now, I have a very physical job where I am running around all day until I finally come back to my office and do these podcasts. But moving your body is medicine. It helps keep your joints active. It helps increase oxygen to your muscles and to your skin and to your brain. And so movement is key. Even if you work from home or you have a job that you sit behind a desk, make it a point to get up and move your body. Go for a quick walk during lunchtime. Just do something, maybe park farther away in the parking lot so you actually get some steps in. And most of our phones nowadays can track the number of steps that you take. So that's been an interesting thing for me to kind of watch and monitor. How many steps am I taking? Am I much more sedentary on the weekends or am I more active during the week? And just kind of monitoring that and making sure that I'm not just sitting still all day long. It just doesn't feel good. And if you do have a job where you do have to sit a lot, then maybe have a standing desk if you can, or try to incorporate other ways to get movement into your life. It doesn't have to be always a 1 hour high intensity HIIT workout or cardio. Simply moving your body is important. This also brings me to something that Dr. Haley mentioned in the podcast episode, and that is the compound effect. And one thing that I know from personal experience, but also I see with patients and friends and families, is sometimes we get overwhelmed. We feel like we have so far to go. There's so much to do. How can we possibly lose those 30 pounds? Or how can we possibly train for a marathon if we can't even run a mile? And so we get discouraged and then we quit and we don't even try. But she brings up a great point about compounding. So we typically hear about compounding with money, right? So I saw my student loans compound while I was in training and residency, and they just ballooned another 6 figures. So that's the power of compounding. It's a little bit over years, day in and day out, that makes a difference. If you cut back on 1 cookie a day, that could be 10 pounds at the end of a year, right? And 1 cookie a day doesn't seem so overwhelming, right? It's not totally asking you to change your whole lifestyle. Taking 1,000 extra steps a day, what kind of impact can that make at the end of a year, at the end of 5 years, right? So don't be discouraged that you have to make these huge gestures and make these huge life-changing alterations to your behaviors. Sometimes it's just doing a small little thing consistently that has the biggest impact overall. And that 1 cookie may seem like nothing, but over day in, day out, over the years, it makes a big, big difference. So don't forget the compounding effect. It's so powerful. If you just add 1 vegetable or 1 fruit, what could that do for your overall health? I know that I also saw the compounding effect in my weight, where I just kind of for the last 10 years just went about doing what I've always done. I didn't really seem to have an issue before. And then lo and behold, especially after COVID, I feel like my clothes don't fit as well. And I saw myself in pictures and I felt like I didn't look like myself anymore. And lo and behold, I had actually gained 10 pounds over the last decade of my life. And I realized, like, wait a minute, that just crept up on me without knowing. And I didn't want to gain another 10 pounds into my mid 50s and then another 10 pounds into my mid 60s. And so I knew that I needed to make some changes with my diet, with my exercise, and really actually spend time thinking about it, which I hadn't really been doing before. I just went about my life and didn't really bother to think about what I was eating. In general, I ate healthily. In general, I exercised or worked out or was active in my day-to-day, but I realized these small amounts were adding up, these small extra calories or skipping workouts. And all of a sudden, I'm 10 pounds heavier. And so the compounding effect is huge, and it can work to your benefit, and it can also work to your dismay. And then lastly, on this episode with Dr. Haley, she mentioned some supplements. And I love that she emphasized that supplements are supplemental. I think all too often we see supplements as this like magic pill we're going to take, and it's going to negate all the negatives that we do. We can eat all the junk food we want because we took our multivitamin or our B12 vitamin or our fish oil. But supplements, again, they're supplemental. You have to be careful. Not all supplements are created equal. They are not regulated. And there are a lot of companies out there that what is written on the label is actually not in the pill. So Dr. Haley mentions making sure that you are buying from a company that has been third-party tested, meaning that an unrelated company has tested their products to verify that they have what they say they have in it. Because if you're going to be spending the money and taking these supplements, you want to make sure you're getting what's in there. Now, the supplements that I take right now, I take a multivitamin. I take a vitamin D3/K2. This is something I just kind of learned about. I used to just take a regular vitamin D3, and then I learned that it really works best paired with K2. And so I now do that. And it just helps with the calcium being directed where it should. And I also take a calcium supplement because I did have a bone fracture. Thankfully, my DEXA scan did show that I'm all good from that, but I still do take calcium. And I've recently started taking collagen. In my coffee, I take a scoop of hydrolyzed collagen. There have been studies and meta-analyses that show that this can be helpful and beneficial. So I feel like there's enough data now to say it could help, and really no harm. And I am about 4 months into that. So we'll see. It's hard to really tell if there's a difference at this point, but those are the supplements I take. Dr. Haley also mentioned things like taking creatine, taking magnesium, as well as fish oil. And I'm also hearing a lot about these as well. So those are other supplements that might be beneficial to take if your diet is lacking, or you could also get your levels checked to see if you are deficient. I do think it's a good idea for people to get their vitamin D levels checked when they are at their primary care doctors, just to see where they run. But you could also have your magnesium levels checked too, if you like. This was a great episode talking with Dr. Haley, and really refreshing to hear a dermatologist not just talk about what products and topicals to use, but really to talk about how to take care of your body from the inside out. And of course, when we talk about taking care of our bodies, a lot of times we focus on our physical bodies, but we have to remember our brains and our minds. This is so important. Sometimes I used to minimize mindset and the effect that it has. And now what I've come to realize is mindset is everything. Mindset sets the tone for everything else in our life. What you are telling yourself, that is reflecting how you live your life, who you hang out with, how you do at work, the thoughts you tell yourself. It's so powerful. And I just don't think we give it enough credit. And I do love now that people are finally taking an interest in our mental health. Our brain is such a powerful, powerful organ, and it really drives our thoughts, our feelings, how we live our life, who we're around, really everything we do. And mindset, I don't know who said this, but I love this quote: mindset is the mind you set. And it's so powerful. And a lot of that starts with, who are you surrounding yourself with? Who is your community? Who is the echo chamber you're spending time with? Are they people who are building you up? Are there people who are you putting you down? And also, how are you treating people, right? Are you that kind of person that builds people up? And so in addition to focusing on your diet and what you eat and moving your body, I think we also need to give a lot of credit to our brains and the power of our mind, and how that impacts so much of our health in general. And of course, all of this just trickles down into how our skin looks and how we feel about ourselves. So much of that comes from the inside. And what I can do and help people as a dermatologist is really sort of the icing on top. If you are interested in hearing the full podcast episode with Dr. Jen Haley, be sure to check out the link here, and I will see you next week.